Hi, I'm Todd and Johan, and I've been in the sport of triathlon for over 25 years. I'm head coach of a triathlon group you've probably never heard of. We don't train all the time, and we don't have goals to win races. In fact, our motivation is the exact opposite. We train for triathlons in addition to living busy lives with the goal of staying in shape and challenging ourselves in this amazing sport of triathlon. We are triathletes with no limits, and this is your Map to Triathlon. This is No Limits Map to Triathlon Podcast, episode number 35 or 36 or 34. We're not quite sure. We are in the car with a special guest, Johan.
Hello.
And we're trying to
Get Jackson on the line.
Yeah, we're trying to have a threesome. We're trying to have three people on this podcast, which has never been done before.
So he just rejected my call. Can I call you later? No, we are
So funny.
doing Oh, he's driving right now.
Oh, he's driving. Well, that's not going to work. Yeah. We're hoping to get him on the podcast. He's in Vancouver. It's not going to happen.
I guess not.
All right, so you're going to have to settle just for Johan and Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Johan,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to continue our podcast from earlier.
Yep.
And so we just finished swim class.
Yep.
What did we do?
We did a 1500 test.
Yeah. Now, why do we do these tests?
I don't know, Tom. Why do we do it? Because you tell me to.
Yeah, we do the test to see how we're doing with training and fitness and all that kind of stuff, and if we're on track for our goals, and right, we use them for motivation. And you have not been swimming a lot
At all.
at all. So, you know, I put the workout on the board. We always start with the warm-up. I encourage people to do a warm-up. The warm-up is always the same for a time trial.
Yeah.
And we do 200 meter swim, 450s, and then 100 easy, and then we go into the time trial. And Johan's like, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing it right.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So you just started off into the time trial.
Yep.
You had a lane to yourself.
Yep.
You were like royalty over there,
Uh-huh.
just enjoying the pool.
Yep.
But I am going to stop so we don't crash.
That's a good idea, Todd. That's a great idea.
Yes, we want to get home safe and sound.
Yes, please.
Just so you guys know that we are safe, I am not looking at any cameras at all, so you don't have to worry about that.
I am.
Johan is.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so you skipped the warm-up. You went right into the time trial. We had to do a 1,500 meter time swim. Now, tell the listeners, how did it go?
It went not so good in my, well, not just in any.
I want to stop you right there. You're not even.
It went
no,
great.
No, just stop right there. Look,
Okay.
so many people I find when they do a race or something, like a race or a timed event, they get out and they look at that watch or they look at the result and they get sad.
Yes.
Because
That's exactly what I did today.
Because it's a number, and you know you're all down in the dumps about your time.
I wasn't in the dumps, but
And
I was.
then I said, Johan, well, how did it feel? And you said what?
It felt good.
And so it felt good.
Yeah.
But you're very disappointed with the time.
Yes, I was, because it's probably one of my slowest time since I started doing all this stuff. Well, that's not true. Probably not slower than my first time, but it's pretty slow.
And it's so easy to see to forget how far you've come. Like I was watching another person in the lane farther over who's not in our group, but he hopped in and he swam 50 meters
Yeah.
and he was done.
Yeah.
Like there's no way he was doing 1,500. And you know what? You kind of forget that, you know, you started off back in the beginning there too.
Yep.
Is that Jackson?
Nope. That's just my email, but no, it's not Jackson.
It's like a clown horn.
Yeah, it says I have an email.
Oh, okay.
It's a clown horn.
Clown horn. What was I saying?
Gratitude. 50 meters. The guy swam 50
so the
meters.
guy was just at 50 meters. The thing is sometimes you forget how far you've come.
This is true. This is true.
So it's nice to see that you have done well and you were able to complete. You didn't stop. Like I was watching you in the 1,500. You didn't stop at all. You just kept going.
Yeah.
And it was...
I mean, I felt comfortable. I felt like I can do that forever. So it was just slower than I expected to be. That's all.
And slow is not bad. Like when you swim so fast where parts of your swimsuit fall apart, is not a good thing, is it?
That never happened, Todd. That never happened.
It never happened?
No.
So don't bring that up?
Well, you can bring it up. Yeah. That was really funny, actually.
Last week in the pool. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks in the pool. You guys will find this hilarious. At least I did. And I think I'm a pretty good coach, and I try not to embarrass swimmers. I try my best not to. I really do. Honestly. On podcasts, it's a different story.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
That's true. But when you're swimming, I try to respect you guys as much as possible. Johan was in the pool, and you haven't been in the pool for a long time, so I was so happy you were there.
Yep.
You came in late. So you're swimming with Vanessa.
Yeah.
And you came in late, so she was already warming up or swimming.
Yeah.
You just hopped on and you started swimming.
Yep.
And you pushed off underwater, and I looked at you. I go, oh my gosh, there's too much of Johan I'm seeing. And so,
wait. So let me tell my side of the story.
yeah.
Okay. So that's the
backside.
So that's the preface of that story. So I finished the set or whatever. I was just swimming, and then it gets to the point where it's like cool down. It's like, okay, Johan, do like whatever,
200 pull or something.
Yeah, 200 push or whatever, or pull. I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm done. I said, okay. I guess, okay, good job, Johan. And said, oh, by the way, do you know that you have a wardrobe malfunction? I'm like, what the hell are you? No, I don't. What are you talking about? I looked down, there's nothing. I was like, I'm good.
You're good.
And then I was like, so I touched my bum, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, that's bare skin. What happened here? So it turned out, I guess I've been swimming with my bum hanging out there, just kind of nicely exposed.
So when I was coaching that day, I stayed on the far end. I didn't do a lot of walking up and down. And every time you pushed off, there was more of Johan to see than normal. And so I was a bit shocked, but you're swimming with Vanessa. And when you guys came to the wall together, I looked at your face, I looked at Vanessa's face, and if there was something, like, if she knew something was going on, she would have been smirking, and you would have been somewhat embarrassed, I would like to think.
Yeah.
But you weren't either. You were oblivious. She was oblivious. I'm like, I think no one else knows except for me. So maybe it's...
Oh, no, I disagree. I think the lifeguards know, the people who are on the deck know.
No,
I think it's so...
The people on the deck for sure know. They didn't have that vantage point. The lifeguards, they probably did. But again, when you swam by them, I immediately looked at their heads and their faces. And there was no sign of smirks, no sign of, hey, check that out. None of that.
So this happened on a Thursday. What I didn't notice was, I found out about this on Saturday, that rip was there from the beginning, from I started. You didn't tell me until the very end, until
like I said,
45 minutes later.
But that's why I'm such a good coach, right? Because look, I know who you are, right? You are, what do you categorize yourself as?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, well, all right.
What do you categorize me as?
I just say what you say you are. You say you
are
a
slow, lazy triathlete.
A slow, lazy triathlete, yes.
Right.
And that's your words, not mine. Now, if you came to the pool and you started swimming and you got a gigantic hole in your butt, hole in your suit, exposing your butt.
Yeah.
And after 100 meters, if I say, Johan, your butt's hanging out.
Yeah.
What would you have done?
I would have stopped.
You would have stopped, right?
Yeah.
And so you should thank me, because me not saying anything allowed you to get in a 45-minute workout, right?
It's true. Well, thank you, Todd.
You're welcome. And look, I know the listeners are thinking, this guy, what kind of coach is this? He's not even telling his family his butt's hanging out. No one knew. I don't think anyone knew. The lifeguards, sure, they might have, but I don't think they did.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure they know. For sure, they know. They're like literally 3 feet away from me while I'm swimming. There's no way they didn't find out.
Well, they've probably seen everything before anyways, so
that's true.
It's okay. But this is why I'm a good coach, is I waited until the cool down when Vanessa was gone, and then I said, hey, Johan, FYI, right? I didn't tell you when everyone's getting out. I gave you the opportunity to get out quietly so that you can come out and not expose yourself to everybody. Right?
True.
Right.
Gotta admit, that was pretty hilarious, pretty funny. I
Yeah.
told Christine she couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, you told your wife, and then you said you should have taken a picture of that. I'm like, oh, I can't do that.
You should have actually.
I
That would
know.
have been a good one.
I know, but
Even if you blur it out, that would have been a good one.
like I said, I try to respect my swimmers.
I wouldn't mind.
I know, but hindsight.
I see what you just did there.
Hindsight, maybe I should have done that, but I didn't. Yeah. But I did talk about it on a podcast, which I guess is.
Yeah, it was good. That was a good one. Good times.
So right now I'm driving you home,
Yep.
and we have to come up with more things to talk about.
Well, swimming. I don't know. What
How
else?
about- we've been in the deep freeze here in Calgary, like the deep freeze. It's been very, very cold the last week.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the temperature is minus 30 with the wind, right? So it's really is chilly, and most normal people are not outside running.
No.
But we're not most normal people, right? So we classify ourselves as a bit unique, and those listening probably agree, and you're probably in the same position, that you're unique too. You like to do things different. So and because you're running every day for 5K,
Yeah.
you've had to go out in those elements,
Yep.
except for one day.
Okay.
At least one day you're on the treadmill, right?
Yeah.
Like we
There's a
already
few
mentioned
days.
that.
Yeah.
And you know, we've got a friend in Vancouver. His name is Jackson.
Yeah. Who we tried to.
We tried to FaceTime, but he wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And when you save your result on your watch,
Yeah.
it uploads to something called Strava.
Strava, yeah.
Here, take your phone.
What's wrong?
It's falling on my side.
Oh, sorry.
It uploads to Strava, and we know that you're running 5K every day.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it uploaded
4.75.
Yeah. And what happened during that run? Like, I don't understand why it's 4.75. It should be 5. Shouldn't it all be exact? Like, and
No.
Jackson stated on your Strava account, epic fail.
Something like that. Yeah.
Was it really an epic fail? Like, what happened that day? Talk us through that day, Johan.
So I was listening to this podcast recommended by Caitlin, and it's called Serial. Anyways, I was so into it, and about 2.5 kilometers in, I got a text message from somebody. So I checked it, and as I was putting my phone back into my pocket, I missed the pocket and it fell because it was in a treadmill. The phone just kind of launched off, right, like behind me.
Oh, did it crack?
Nope, nothing.
Okay.
It was good.
Was your phone in a case?
Nope, it's just bare naked iPhone. Anyways,
Everything hanging out like Johan does.
yep, you know how I do it. So I was so into this podcast, I forgot I was on the treadmill. So I basically just turned around, and you know what happened when you just turn around when the treadmill is going?
Yeah, it launches
well,
you.
yeah, it launches you like the phone did.
Yeah.
So like it did to the phone. So I went stumbling around, saved myself. I was like, oh, okay, that's good. Picked up my phone. So when I did that, basically my watch knew that I wasn't moving. Right, there was no movement or anything like that. So it's kind of paused the watch a little bit. But the treadmill kept going. Said, okay, well, all right. So I wasn't on the ground for too long anyway. So I went back on the treadmill. But as I was stepping onto the treadmill again, I forgot that this is a treadmill. I just stepped right on. So I again launched myself.
Are you like a rookie treadmill runner?
I hate running in the treadmill. I don't really I don't enjoy it. But everybody surrounding was like, what is this guy's problem? Like, he never used a treadmill in his life. Anyways.
I think if your phone was recording, that could have gone viral.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
Yeah.
But, so my watch stopped. So my treadmill kept going. So I basically just ran, I put like 5.2, 5.3, whatever. I went over 5K. but my watch says 4.75. At the end of that run, I have a calibrate function where you can calibrate. So before you save it, you can calibrate how many kilometers did the treadmill say. So I calibrated
it. Like a cheat function.
Well, because it can't really know, because the watch would use GPS if you run outside.
Yes.
But if it runs indoor, if you don't have a foot pod,
Yeah.
it won't know, right? So it just based on your movement and your arms or your cadence, whatever.
I hear it.
So it tries to
It's a fudge factor.
approximate, yeah. So you can calibrate it. So I calibrated and put 5.2, and it says it saved it, but when I upload it to Strava, it says 4.75.
Oh, man.
And the first person who commented was Jackson. And he said, what did he say? I can't remember. Something about an epic fail or something like that.
All right. So this guy, right, who's been bugging you because you didn't hit it,
Yeah.
why don't you pull up his Strava account? How's he doing?
Oh, I can't. We talked, Jackson and I talked about this.
I think that's fair game, isn't it?
Yeah, but he said he's been running, but I haven't seen it in Strava. I often say that if it's not in Strava, it doesn't exist.
Right.
But he said he's been running. I'm putting, air quotes here. So I don't know. He could be lying.
Right.
But whatever.
Okay.
It's not recorded. Who would know?
Yeah.
So yeah. Jackson, start running maybe, huh?
That's right.
But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so-
what happened.
Okay, so I think that's a great story. I think it's hilarious, and I'm glad you didn't hurt yourself.
Me too.
So listeners out there, when you're on a treadmill and you're not used to running on a treadmill, just remember that when you get off it, the treadmill keeps going.
Yeah,
And I used to put my feet on the sides. Right?
yeah,
Kind of, what do you call that? Spanning the treadmill.
yeah.
And then I kind of paw it one leg to get the speed, and then I hop on.
Or pause, or use one of those. Most treadmills nowadays have that cable, that cord. Like if you can clip it to your shirt, so if you like,
Did you not have that clipped on?
who does? Like nobody uses it. Like you're not cool if you're using it. Like seriously,
No, that's right.
like honestly, you gotta look cool.
Absolutely.
You gotta look like you know what you're doing out there.
Otherwise, you're a fool on the ground, right?
Yeah,
Picking up your phone on the ground.
it's it's just it happens. Okay.
It happens. I'm glad you didn't get hurt.
Yeah,
now,
me too.
Okay, so this whole how we got stuck in that story was because of minus 30, right?
That's right. Minus 30.
You've done a lot of running this in the last week outside.
Yeah.
So for people that are listening, you go, Todd, that sounds like really, really cold weather. How do you dress for that? Like tonight, for example.
Yeah.
What was the temperature when you came running to my house?
Minus 14, something like that. Celsius.
That's
for
not
you.
that's not cold enough. So
That's
the
not
day
cold.
you're running in minus 30,
Yeah.
okay? Talk to me about what were you wearing to protect yourself.
Sure. So I have my base layers. I bought this really, really warm base layer, the warmest I can find.
What does base layer mean?
It's like a long johns or long underwear or thicker underwear.
Is that the first thing you put on?
That's the first thing that I put on. Like I bought this 3.0 Under Armour, the warmest you can find on that brand at least, and it was on sale. So
Ooh, that
I
sounds
was like,
good.
yeah. So I was like, okay, let's try this out. So yeah, it's really, really warm. It's a little bit thicker, and it's a bit thicker for an under layer, but it's really warm. So I have that top and bottom, long sleeves for long pants, long sleeve.
All right, and
For
let's,
base.
let's keep it base. So let's go
Yeah.
down to the skin on the feet. What do you have on for socks?
Just regular socks, actually. All my socks are thick anyway, so I like the thicker socks. And my shoes is half a size larger than what my regular shoe size is.
Okay.
I keep it just so I don't bend my toenail or whatever, but I like it half a size bigger.
And what kind of shoes are you running in the wintertime?
I am using my trail shoes, my Hoka Clifton ATR 4 or 3 or 4 or something like that. 4, I think. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's my base layer. That's my skin layer.
Yeah.
And then after that, I put on my running tights, and this particular one is a little bit thicker as well.
Oh my gosh, you put your tights on over that stuff?
Yeah.
You must be like squished like a hot dog.
That's why, yeah, it's pretty tight. And if you're not careful, or if you're not, I guess careful is not the right word, but if it gets too thick in there, it bunch up behind your knee, and it just bothers you sometimes. So you just kind of have to stretch it out or whatever. So yeah, around the joints, it can bunch up, and it just restrict your flow, and it bothers your run. So make sure you put a little bit of make sure it's tight, or it doesn't bother you.
Pull it right up.
Yeah,
right up. No, do you have anything over top your tights?
Nope, nothing, because my tights I have two different tights. One is thinner, one is thicker, so I put on the thicker one for pants.
Yeah.
And then for the top, I use a thicker hoodie, long sleeve hoodie, and it's warm. So yeah, for the pants, it's just 2 layers. On the top, I use a thicker hoodie, and then I put on just a running jacket.
Yes.
And then I put on a shell. So I have 4 layers.
And what's your shell? Is it like a waterproof jacket, or what is this thing?
Yeah, a waterproof.
Like it's a new jacket you got, right?
It's a new jacket.
I
I'm
like it.
testing it out. So
Although it's like it's red, I'd like to see it in blue.
Well, that's why it's on sale.
Oh yeah.
It's there's only one color. Anyways, it's a waterproof Gore-Tex shell. I'm testing it for the spine.
Yeah. Great idea.
Yeah, and it doesn't keep you warm, but it
You get the layers underneath you to keep you warm.
That's right. It keeps the cold out, I guess.
Keeps the elements out. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And so then your gloves. What are you wearing for gloves?
For my gloves, I have a tight, kind of warmish, like a smaller, I don't know what you call them, like a wool glove, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah, it's and then it's just a smaller glove, skin tight, and then I put on my ski gloves, just one of those thicker gloves, and it's good for when you go skiing or what have you, to keep you warm. So that I find is good enough. For my face and my ears and my head, I have a balaclava.
Okay.
That covers my mouth, my nose. Tried to cover my cheek, though it didn't work very well last time, so I got kind of burned on the top of my cheek. And then there's a tube, so I put that that balaclava toque on, and then I put my hoodie on, and then I put from my shell, the one that I was talking about, the waterproof one, I put that hoodie on as well. So I got, I guess, 3 layers of top for my head.
Do you have everything covering your eyes?
I do not. That's you were wearing goggles.
Yeah, I wore goggles
time
last week. Yeah.
Ski goggles.
Ski goggles. Yep.
So I'm gonna have to get one of those for the spine. So I need to start testing out products, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
If there's companies out there listening to this podcast and want to sponsor me, that'd be awesome. I'm open to that.
All right. Sure. Yeah.
But
have you ever put last week it was cold, I put hot shots in my gloves. Hot shots are these charcoal activated heaters. You open them up, shake them, put them in your gloves, and it keeps my hands cold. Do you ever use those?
I wore it for the first time. I used it for the first time during the Melissa's half marathon.
Ah, yes.
On last September.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was really nice and warm, actually. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I don't usually wear them, but I kind of like those. Yeah.
We bought a bag of those things. We must have 100 of those.
Yeah.
I think they were on sale for $20 or something.
Yeah, you can go to Costco and buy them.
It's a great deal.
Yeah.
Good deal. I recommend you guys get them if you live in someplace cold and you want to keep your fingers warm. It works out really, really well.
I will do that, actually. I'm going to start running with that, actually. That's not a bad idea, yeah. So all of this minus 30 days is good training day for the spine.
Do you carry fluid with you when you're on those cold days?
I do not, but I'm gonna have to. So Kevin, my buddy Kevin, who's doing it with me, so he's been testing out some gear in terms of water bottles, or because if you carry one of those camel pack or whatever, it will freeze.
I know. I've been doing that myself. I figured out a system though.
Oh. How do you do it?
This is what I do. And I've froze my hose too many times.
Yeah.
In these cold weather runs.
Yeah.
And this is what I do. So I say if I got 3 layers on up top,
Yeah.
I put the backpack in like layer 2.
Oh yeah.
And
That's
then
how
the
it works.
outside jacket goes over top of it.
Right.
And then the hose, I put that as close to my skin as possible.
Yeah.
And then when I need the drink, this is the problem. You have to unzip to get it out.
Right.
But, you know, when you're in the middle of like a 25K run
Yeah.
and you're thirsty, even though it's cold, you still need to hydrate.
Yeah.
Pull it out and it's still, well, this is the funny part. You pull it out, the hose part, like the fluid in the hose, is
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
And then once that's gone, then you get the water that's close to your back. So
Yeah.
your back is heated it up,
Yeah.
and then you get the warm fluid.
Interesting.
It is really, really interesting. I'm just happy that it works.
So
Works.
for spine, I don't know how that's gonna work because we're gonna carry a bag, right? So we might have to carry 2 bags, one like the camel pack and one is like the supply bag.
You have to do some testing.
Yep. So, interesting. I'll keep that in mind for sure.
Well, podcast listeners, we are at the end of our drive because Johan is at his house.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you very much for listening. Johan, thank you for doing this double header podcast. It's been awesome. It's been a surprise. And
Thanks for the ride, Todd.
yeah, I will see you Saturday at Prick Class.
Are you running afterwards? It's gonna be a minus 26, 28, 30, 40, whatever minus that is. So
Johan, I will run for you because I know you have to do all
look
this.
at that.
training.
Awesome.
I'll bring all my stuff. I'll be prepared to run. Maybe just you and me, but you know what?
That's okay.
Maybe we'll do a podcast when we run.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Johan.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hey, if you have any questions, please send me a note. You can contact me at Instagram at No Limits Coach and Facebook at No Limits Try. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a comment and a review on iTunes. I appreciate all reviews and questions. Happy training, and we'll talk soon.